Alright. Oh, hello. I am here to actually get this started. Yes. Here we go. PS2. And this is, as I've discussed, a game that, quite frankly, I had no. Ignore the graphics, I'm letting this in an emulator. This is a game that, quite frankly, I didn't think I would like at first glance, since the presentation is that of a spin-off style game, which I've not had good experience with. Because, like I said, spin-offs and me have not really gone along in the past. Many of them just feel like they barely have anything to do with the main series of a game, and more just try to change things up a bit too much. I mean, I'm not saying they have to suck, but they never really interested me all that much, with very rare exceptions. And this is one of them. Keep in mind, I was expecting a traditional Yu-Gi-Oh game when I started this. Like, I had no idea. Okay, so basically, this is a reference to a war that actually happened in our real life. And all the historical characters are literally based around characters from Yu-Gi-Oh! And when I first realized this, I was like, wait a moment. This is an actual Yu-Gi-Oh game about a real-life war? What the fuck? Yes. There's the one people always remember from this game, Seto. Keep in mind, they never refer to him as Seto Kaiba of any sort in this game. They only use his first name, ever. So that really makes me think that the Seto here is more based on the ancient Egyptian form of him rather than the more modern version. Not that it matters, they're kind of playing loose with the characters anyway. Case in point, Mai here, who is actually some sort of high druid in this, who wants to summon a random duelist, which would be us. Now, the game in question is. A lot of themes are borrowed from another Yu Gi Oh game, Forbidden Memories, which was on the PS1. Case in point, this guy. This guy is a character that only ever appeared in that one game. So that should make it clear that they are really borrowing a lot from that title. You don't really need to know about Forbidden Memories to enjoy this story, though. They really don't reference anything from that game, honestly. Yes, the Rose Duelist. I love how they say Margaret My Buford is the one responsible when it's this guy called Simon who's really doing all the heavy lifting here. Classic. Higher ups always taking credit for everything, I guess. So yeah, basically you have Simon talking about how you were summoned to this day and age and ask you your name. And because I love me some puns, I'm gonna just make it a female called Rosa. Rosa, fine name indeed, if not a little on the nose. Yeah, and we're starting in Stonehenge, of course. And he basically talks about the setting behind the War of the Roses here. You know, for the 90% of people that probably knew nothing about that war. I'm not complaining, though. I was really into it, especially considering just how important they make everything feel in this game. Like all the battles and stuff, it feels like it's an epic war in some, instead of just dueling random people. It adds a level of complexity to the game. You help us? Of course you will. Foolish of me to even doubt where your loyalties lie. No, I mean, you're just randomly summoning me to this day and age without my permission. Is it a little presumptuous to just stomachically assume that I would want to side with you? I'll get more into this in a moment. I mean, I think it's expected that this random duelist is just a really righteous sort that wants to help, but still. It's still presumptuous regardless, though. And they explain, oh yeah, dueling is handled differently here in England. Basically, it's more about strategy and proper thinking than it is just throwing cards out in the field. So nah, we don't need it. That would just bore you, I'm sure. And you do get 3 selections on what your deck starts with. This is another reason to pick Rosa, because you get 3 of the most powerful choices for your starting deck. The most powerful being the Patrician of Darkness starting deck, which is primarily dark spellcaster and zombie themed. You know me and my spellcasters. However, someone's been listening in. Who could it be? It's Seto. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention just how badass Seto looks wearing that armor that's fashioned to have a blue-eyes white dragon. Just like, oh my god, that looks so awesome. It's kind of a shame we didn't see Seto Kaiba at some point in the show or something like that. Because you know he would be totally on board with that kind of shit. Basically, there's now a back and forth between the two of them. Pretty much just throwing insults at each other. Hey, that's mean. I have nothing against you, dude. I really wish they would, like, I know they're trying to be historically accurate with the naming here, but they should have made it K Rosencruz instead of C Rosencruz. K standing for Kaiba. I know this isn't supposed to be that version of Seto, but it would have been a nice touch, regardless. Just in case you're interested in what they're talking about, I'll be a little slower here. They're basically talking about how the rose cards in this game have magical powers, which is why I was able to be summoned here in the first place. It's really funny, if you really look at So Kaiba and the way he basically became almost a bit power mad by the time we got the third Yu-Gi-Oh movie, in terms of what he wanted to accomplish, this Seto's not that much different than him. I mean, hell, if we go by GX's logic, Seto Kaiba eventually did become ruler of the world. Sort of. He wasn't exactly a dictator, but he basically controlled the world, though, through his technology. So, really, yeah. I mean, I can believe Seto would want this. This is where Simon really gets screwed over. Speak too soon, old man. In order for us to return, we're going to need the cards back once my mission is complete. So therein lies the problem here. We need both red and white. So, yes. Again, being very presumptuous here, Simon. You know nothing about me, except how to summon me. Yep. Yeah, Seto brings up a good point. I mean, which sounds more likely for my success? Helping a bunch of rebels that are barely hanging on by a thread, or join the people that essentially have victory in the laps of their hands? The only thing that's stopping them is me. So, yeah, I think the choice is clear here. I love this line from Seto here, by the way. Simon, must you resort to name-calling? I'm hurt. I'm just imagining Kaiba's voice actor saying that, and that just makes me laugh. Just like, really? The choice is clear. Why, thank you. Well, at least he's being nicer to me now. Well, he's dead. Okay, not really, but... Although I did threaten to kill him just a moment ago, so I don't know if I would trust that. Yeah, unfortunately there is something called a deck cost in this game. If you want to duel against other opponents, you will have to be on their level in terms of deck cost. Basically, you can't throw a bunch of really absurd creatures in your deck and hope you can win that way. There's gotta be some balance, you know? That's where the strategy comes in. I'll get more into it in the next video, though, when I talk about that. because that's the bread and butter of this entire game experience, is the gameplay. And I love it. But we'll get to it. So, yeah. On the first one you have to deal with on Kaiba's path is duel against Taya. I mean, duh. I mean, of course she'd be the first one we go up against. And you'd be thinking, oh, Taya, well, whatever, man. She's gonna be so weak. I mean, we're gonna plow through her like it's nobody's business. Don't be so sure. In this game, and this game only, no matter who you're dueling against, everyone is a threat on some level. Some more than others, but do not look at someone like Taya and think you're just gonna walk all over her like she's like just a pest. Nah, not in this game. But I'm just gonna make a save state here, if the game will let me. So let me go ahead and show off. Let me go ahead and do a reset, and let me show off what happens if you do indeed side with Yugi's team. You know, just to show off what happens. And I'm going to be using speed up to get through all this, because we've already seen it. Okay. For the record, though, I do prefer starting with Kaiba, though. I love having speed up at times. There is no way to skip, by the way, in case you're wondering if you can actually do that. Now you gotta sit through the dialogue each time. Still, at least it's not all that long to get through it all. Alright, I guess I'll side with the rebels. I mean, it's the right thing to do, I guess. Oh, well, it's nice of him to just let us go. I mean, he could just arrest us or whatever, but he's actually being somewhat honorable here. Uh-huh, right, okay. The French Empire. Got some fancy nightclub music going on here. Like, what the hell? This is very unfitting for a royal's manor. This literally sounds like it was playing some sort of sexy nightclub or something. I mean, it's the kind of thing I would expect from, like, a fan project, but not an official game. Damn. Prince Yugi, huh? That sounds like it shouldn't be his title. Maybe like, let's see. This is France. It would probably be, High Noble or whatever. I'm trying to remember what they would call that. But Prince doesn't sound accurate. Prince of Lancaster, true Welshman. Oh, if we call ourselves Celts. Come to think of it, we never did see Yugi's parents, so this could have been a great opportunity to show them. Oh well. Yeah, you would say that. But you have the 8 red rose cards. Shouldn't that counter them? Whatever. Video game plot. Oh, I see. They actually do explain that. Uh-huh. Trying to really make Seto come off as a stronger opponent to Yugi here. And they claim the same thing. You gotta have a low deck cost. Yeah, you can ignore that. You're not really on a time limit. And, yeah, we're going right back. Yeah, that was totally worth it. When you play Yugi's Path, you actually get 2 people to choose from, actually. And it's Rex and Weevil. I know they were desperate to try to pick people to be on Kaiba's side, since all the really important characters are on Yugi's side. But did you really have to bring Rex and Weevil into this? I know they're on the lower end on his side, a bit to where they barely matter, but it still feels like there could have been other characters you could have chosen for this. I mean, anybody else? I mean, I've already mentioned before that Mokuba's not in this game. Couldn't you replace one of these with him? I'm just saying. Like, I know this isn't the Seto Kaiba from the show, but you could at least put him in the game. I mean, they're already playing the roles of different people anyway. Whatever. Anyways, that is the initial plot for the game, and it does a pretty good job of setting things up. I was really invested when I first played the game. I was like, wow, this is way more story than we usually get from these games. Can't wait to see where it goes. And where it goes is what we'll be covering next time. The game has a lot of interesting concepts and ideas that I think really make it stand out. However, that'll be all for now. Next time I'll be doing part 2 showing the more gameplay-centric side of things. And also just how this game really sets up its themes pretty well. It gets pretty involved, but I'll talk more about that when we get to it.